Creating a sales plan is one of the best ways that you can create more consistent income and map out a plan for how you're going to grow your business. And yet, it seems like almost no one actually takes the time to do this. So, since we are coming up on the end of Q2 2024, we're halfway through the year, I'm actually about to do my quarterly planning for Q3. And we're also going to run this inside the High Profit Society. We do a quarterly planning day, a couple weeks before the end of the quarter, to map out what we're going to do for the upcoming quarter. And one of the most crucial pieces, I think, of planning that we do is in mapping out our sales plans. So I thought I would walk you through my process for how I create and help my clients to create sales plans that give them a very clear map for what they're going to prioritize and what they're going to focus on in the upcoming quarter. So it seems like there are a couple of different camps when it comes to creating a sales plan. We have the camp of the people who love what I'm talking about here and like to dig into spreadsheets and calculate numbers and forecast things out. And then we have another camp of people who is like vibes only. I don't believe in doing any sort of reverse engineering or goals calculation. I just want to live my best life and be my best self and sell as much as I possibly can. And that's how I'm going to quantum leap my way through business. And I don't necessarily think that either one is fully right or fully wrong. You might even say that those two camps are, on the one hand, more masculine and on the other hand, more feminine. I think that there is something to be learned from both camps. So when I do my quarterly planning process, which you'll see in an upcoming video where I'm going to walk you through the behind the scenes of my quarterly planning, I start by anchoring into my vision and my intention for the quarter so that I can keep an eye on my North Star with, focusing on what I want to prioritize and the way that I want my business and life to feel. So I anchor into that and then bring in some of the more quote unquote masculine tactics of mapping things out and creating our step-by-step plan with numbers and getting spreadsheets involved. So before I walk you through the 3 steps that I have to creating a sales plan, let's talk about what a sales plan even is to begin with. To me, a sales plan is where I have for the upcoming quarter, I know what my sales targets are. I know how much of a gap I need to close in order to hit those targets. And I have a plan for what I'm selling and when I'm selling it so that I know what I should be marketing, what kind of content I should be creating, and I'll know whether or not I'm actually hitting the goals that I set out for myself. So I do tend to document my sales plan in a spreadsheet where I go month by month across the top of the spreadsheet, and then I'll have my offers or my clients down the side. And then I project out for each month, at least for 3 to 6 months, if not up to a whole year, what I know I have booked out already, and then what my target is for each month. And I will say that with any plan that you make, whether it's a sales plan or a business plan or whatever, any type of plan is never going to 100% work out the way that you think it is going to or the way that you want it to. But I still like to have that plan for a couple of reasons. I've already said some of these, but the primary one is it makes me feel like I'm not trying to throw spaghetti at a wall. Having a sales plan and knowing what I am prioritizing, it helps me to create a more cohesive and purposeful content plan. So I know that if I'm prioritizing a certain offer, then I'm going to do, podcast episodes, YouTube episodes, social media content, my emails, all of those pieces of content, I'm going to focus on that offer that I'm prioritizing during that time period. So instead of showing up to your desk and thinking to yourself, what am I going to post today? You have a very intentional plan for what you are going to talk about and you know what you're selling. And so therefore you can focus your content on those problems, those goals, the desires that those ideal clients have for that offer. You can just tailor everything and it's much more purposeful. And to me, it's easier to execute. So, here are the 3 steps to creating a sales plan. Before I jump into this, I do want to let you know that if you sign up for my free profit plan challenge, I will walk you through this step by step with daily challenge trainings where I'm walking you through exactly what you need to do and a workbook that's over 25 pages long with prompts and calculators and tools and things for you to fill out to create your own profit plan for your business for the upcoming quarter. So if you want to grab that and then jump into your sales plan in more detail, just go to the link in the description or sarahhyoung.com/profit plan. Step 1 of creating a sales plan is to have a sales goal. Now, I'm not one that likes to have a sales goal that's just based on an arbitrary number. I like to base my goals on reality because I like to know what I'm aiming for as my minimum. So, the way that I calculate my goals is I will take the pay or the profit that I want to generate in my business. I will make sure to add a buffer for taxes on top of that. Whether we like it or not, we're going to have to pay some taxes, most likely. Then add on my overhead expenses and my team expenses and things on top of that to see how much money do I need to have coming into my business in order to fund everything that I want. I've got a whole podcast episode talking you through how I calculate my baseline revenue. So go check that out if you want to dive deeper into calculating your revenue goal. So I like to calculate my revenue goal based on what I'm aiming for in that quarter, not because I want it to limit me to that number, but because I like to know, hey, if I want to hit my goals, I need to do this much in revenue. And then anything above and beyond that can be the icing on the cake. I just personally find, and most of my clients find, that basing their plans in real numbers and getting a sense of, hey, if I want to do this in my business, then I need to bring in this much in revenue. They find that really helpful rather than just guessing and hoping that things are going to work out. So step 2 is once you know what your revenue target is, usually I do this on a monthly basis or take an annual goal and divide it up. Once you know what your revenue goal is, then I look at what revenue I know I already have booked for the quarter. So let's say if your revenue goal is $20,000 a month, that means for the quarter, you'd want to bring in $60,000. I'm going to go and look at any contracts that I already have signed from monthly retainers. I'm going to look at project payments that are coming in. I'm going to look at whatever I have booked for that upcoming quarter so that I can calculate the last step, which is my sales gap. Now, I do want to caveat, some of you watching may have brick and mortar type service-based businesses. You might not have a monthly recurring revenue model, which, side note, I think everybody should think of how they can incorporate MRR into their business, but that's a topic for another day. You might not have a monthly recurring revenue model. And so in this case, what you might want to think about is how much revenue you know that you can reasonably do without a doubt. If you didn't do any marketing efforts whatsoever, how many clients would walk into your door? How many appointments would get booked? So the third step is to identify your sales gap. So you take your sales goal, subtract out what you have got booked for the quarter, and then what's left over is your gap. So in this example, if your quarterly goal is $60,000 and you look at what you already have booked, and let's say you already have $30,000 booked and under contract, then that means you have another $30,000 that you're going to want to close in terms of new sales coming in the door. Once you've identified the gap, my question to you would be, which offer are you going to sell in order to close that gap? How many clients do you need to close in that offer to close the gap? And then from there, backing into your sales and marketing goals. So if you do sales calls, how many sales calls do you need to book in order to close that number of clients? Or if you do a webinar or a sales page, how many people do you need to get signed up for that webinar or through your sales page in order to close the number of clients that you want? And then backing it up a step further, what are the marketing activities that you are going to do in order to bring those sales calls or bring those registrants into your world? And that gives you a much more cohesive plan for exactly how you are going to hit your goals in your business. And make sure too that you are doing those sales and marketing activities on a more consistent basis. So you could do this, for example, and see that one of the months in the quarter, your revenue is going to drop off. And so looking ahead, you can go ahead and start doing the activities you need to do in order to bring in some more cash flow for that month. So that's how you can create a straightforward sales plan for your business. And if you want to take it a step further and build out your sales plan for the upcoming quarter in a way that is more aligned with how you want to run your business, then come and join my free profit plan challenge at sarahhyoung.com/profit plan.